Hi everyone, today's a fragrance video. As you know, on this channel we're huge fragrance fans, and I'm personally very into floral scents, especially springtime, so I decided to create a video that has been requested in the past, and it's about rose scents. Today I chose 5 of them to present to you and to give you an idea of what kind of scents they are, and for you to have some information in case you're interested in any of them. If you are a rose scent lover, this is probably a good video to watch. So let's start with the one that is quite popular. Juliette Has A Gun is a fragrance house that has created waves for a while, ever since they got into Sephora. It's a fairly readily available fragrance house, so the exclusivity factor is not that high. However, the fragrances that they do make are high quality and they do have an interesting line. So when it comes to rose, out of Juliette Has A Gun line, I definitely think Lady Vengeance is something that you might want to take a look at. It is a musky rose with woods, with a bit of patchouli, the kind of patchouli that I personally can wear. I am not a patchouli lover. It's difficult for me to pull off. My skin does not tolerate it. My nose does not tolerate it very well. However, if you are someone who's struggling with patchouli-based scents, this is a kind that you probably will be able to wear. It's not all patchouli, nothing else. This little guy is far from new. It's been launched in 2004. So it's one of the kind of originals that have become popular and have really cropped up from this particular fragrance house. Juliette Has A Gun is a Francis Kokudjian creation. As you know, I really enjoy this particular nose. He does have his own fragrance house, which I haven't sampled very much yet, but I am very interested in discovering some of the scents that he himself makes for his own line, Maison Francis Kokudjian. So Juliette Has A Gun is one of his very successful creations. It's internationally renowned, and it is, for me, a rose scent. The manufacturer touts top notes of lavender and bergamot, middle notes of Bulgarian rose, Moroccan rose, patchouli, ISO-E super, and geranium. And the base notes are musk, white musk, ambroxan, and vanilla. In the ads, they present this fragrance as rock meets romance. And this is a pretty fair way to describe the scent, although I would also add a touch of vintage is definitely floating around in this little guy. Initially, the collection that Lady Vengeance belongs to has been inspired by Shakespearean plays. And I can see definitely where that's coming from. That's probably also, I don't know if it's still true, but when Juliette Has A Gun initially was started, Romano Ricci was the founder of the company. And it's Nina Ricci's, I believe, grandson or great-grandson? No, grandson, I think. And relative to the industry at that time, the initial launch was extremely successful. If you are somebody who enjoys rose as it is in Narciso Rodriguez fragrances, this is probably one that you will like. This, in fact, to me, does resemble the kind of floral musk that Narciso is known for. So the original Eau de Parfum, Narciso Rodriguez for her, they're cousins. They are of the same realm. If you like that one, you might like this one. Here, I can tolerate the patchouli a lot better. So if you were stopped from purchasing the For Her line because, or at least the For Her Eau de Parfum, because the patchouli was too heavy, Juliette Has A Gun, Lady Vengeance may please you in that regard. I really pick up mostly musk, patchouli, and rose. The rest of the ingredients are floating in the background, making the fragrance a little bit more gentle. But rose, musk, and patchouli are in that order what I really pick up from that scent, especially once you wear it down. Another fragrance that this one kind of reminds me of is the original Agent Provocateur de Parfum. I do like the way Juliette Has A Gun wears a little bit better. This is a darker scent. I don't think that for lovers of light florals, this is going to be your jam. Perhaps for the evening time or date night, but this is for lovers of a more substantial twist on the rose, where we're not talking about gauze, we're talking about velvet. There is a creaminess to Lady Vengeance that makes it very wearable for fall and winter especially. I think for me that this would be a little bit heavy in the summer simply because the patchouli opens up on my skin very much in the summer. But if you are someone who enjoys very dense fragrances in the summer, this could really work. This is, dare I say, a sexy take on rose. As most rose scents, it does settle into a bit of a powdery finish, which I obviously really enjoy. Now, character-wise, who do I imagine this particular scent fitting? I think someone who's in cosplay would fit this scent very well. Someone who enjoys wearing corsets every once in a while. Someone with a flair for the vintage, but presented in a very modern way. It definitely leans very feminine. However, obviously, I, as always, encourage you to wear whatever you find attractive for your own nose. But this is the hot girl in Dungeons and Dragons, the hot girl in LARPing. There's some darkness, a little bit of a vampire story, but that's all for show. This is not an actual dark lady of the night, vampire, magician. It's the girl who plays that when she goes to parties. I do like it, actually. This is a scent that I may consider purchasing once I run out of my smaller size. I think it's lovely. I think there is a playfulness and a sexiness to it that is lovable, that is very enjoyable. What I don't think you're going to get out of it is a big, fresh rose. I would say not very fresh. And it is a fairly safe take on rose. It's not unique. There are many fragrances out there like that. Lasting power and projection are moderate to decent. So you get really good bang for your buck in terms of quality there. Narciso Rodriguez for her, Delina, La Ville, de Berlin, by Sargentans. Those are the kinds of things you can compare it to. Those are the kinds of scents that are out on the market. If you like them, you'll probably like this. So strong like from me. Strong like. Not quite a love, but very, very strong like. Check it out. It's very readily available on Sephora. Here's another bit of a heavy hitter. The next scent is Narciso Rouge from Narciso Rodriguez lineup. Not the toilette. There's another toilette version that has more muguet to it. This is the Eau de Parfum. So this guy is pretty interesting in several different ways. I am classifying it as a rose fragrance. However, it is as well able to be classified into a musky fragrance, and there are also vanillic undertones to it, which are somewhat sweet. So there are lots of facets to this fragrance. It does appear to be more complex than what the perfume profile or the scent pyramid is telling us. Obviously, the packaging is beautiful. We all know I enjoy the Narciso Rodriguez packaging. It's to my heart for sure. This guy is somewhat powdery, so beware if you hate powder in any way. Probably this is not going to be the thing for you. Stay tuned. The next few ones are probably going to be more suitable for your taste. This is not a powder, not a talcum powder, not a baby powder. It is more of a cosmetic Hermes bag. If you air it out, that's what it would smell like, kind of powder. The rose that you are smelling here is fairly thick and juicy, a little bit syrupy even. It is the Bulgarian rose variety. However, I can't really pick up a difference between Turkish rose or Bulgarian rose. But here we have a very healthy dose of tonka beans, and the tonka beans are in the base and they're kind of molded with vanilla. Tonkilla, tonka bean vanilla, sort of a concoction at the base. There's lots and lots of musk. Musk is more midway in the mid notes. It's popping up a lot more there. Musk is really dominating the middle of the pyramid. At the top, we have the iris and the rose. The iris and the rose really are born to be together. In my mind, this is a perfect combination. Not this particular fragrance, but in general, iris and rose just do very well together. It's a bouquet you want to smell. Here, it's clearly way more dominated by the rose. If you are a fan of iris, this is probably not going to pass as an iris fragrance for you. The powderiness is there, but the dryness and the astringency of the iris is not. It's a rather fleshy, moist situation. I know everybody hates the word moist, but saturated in moisture, let's say. This launched in 2018. I bought it when it launched. It's probably about 2/3 full still, so it's going strong. As for the perfumers, one of them was Sonia Constant, and the other one I'm not familiar with. Let me look it up. I know there's two. There's a duo who created this particular scent. I don't know the second one. Let me see. Nadège Le Garlantezek. Not familiar with this lady. I'm assuming it's a woman. Not familiar with her work, but now I will be on the lookout for compositions she's involved in, because obviously this is very, very successful. I see this fragrance working best in the fall, perhaps, and winter. And it's more of a day scent, although it is rather on the thicker side of the day scents. If you enjoy a lightweight citrusy rose, this is not going to be your jam. If you like something that you can sink your teeth into, then Rouge probably is going to satisfy that craving. This is not a fussy scent. I haven't found that it reacts very strongly to skin in particular. It seems to smell very similar on my clothes, on my skin, and on a blotter. So if you have a lot of problems with the scents really mutating, I did not find that that was the case with this guy. The composition is very sturdy and difficult to mess up. Despite the fact of this scent being rather on the thicker side, I would say, of daytime wear, there is a cleanliness to it, a soapiness, cleanliness to it that is undeniable, which is probably what's making it so wearable. It's not demanding, it doesn't have a lot of impositions, and it's really rather easy to pull off in a variety of different circumstances. However, the base on the dry down several hours after you apply is going to be a creamy sandalwood, cedar, fairly clean version of that with some floral and powdery overtones. So really it dries down into a very, very creamy, sensational little piece. If you like creaminess, of course. If you're somebody who's grossed out by the creamier scents, the thicker, creamier scents, again, I would avoid this guy. Because of the iris and the rose combo, if you are a lover of lipstick scents or cosmetic, old school cosmetic scents, and I am actually, you might find this enticing. Since it has that wonderful rosy iris, it does have the whole makeup bag vibe, like high-end makeup bag vibe from the 50s. It does have that. On the dry down, that aspect really softens, smooths away, and I wouldn't say completely disappears, but mostly it does. And you're left with a creamy sandalwood with cedar, which is a very alluring, nice little combination, wearable for wherever. So if that sounds appealing to you, you may want to take a second look at the Narciso Rouge. Who do I imagine wearing it? This is a fairly modern take on the rose, although all of the ingredients are very, very classic. It does come together in a rather modern way, which is what Narciso Rodriguez are really famous for. This is probably someone with a background in history, maybe art history, someone who really understands period pieces, scents, literature. This person is rather cultured, but in a way that is quite gentle and not so much standoffish. There isn't much about this particular scent that is standoffish, so if you're worried about that with the sort of scent profile that we have here, I would say it's pretty approachable. The wearer of this scent is probably someone who gets invited to gallery openings, someone who would be called if there is a new manuscript that needs to be privately sold. This is kind of what we're talking about, but doesn't take herself or himself too seriously. Glad I have it, will be keeping it, probably will repurchase. The next stop on our fragrant olfactory journey into the rosy universe is going to be a very affordable piece, and this is Eternity Intense by Calvin Klein. I have to say I am not a huge supporter of the Eternity line in general from Calvin Klein, because overall it tends to have fairly poor quality. So I don't own any other scent from the line except for this one, and in this one I think is a pleasant exception, not a complete exception. So the quality is still, it's not anywhere where Narciso Rodriguez is sitting, for instance, but it is a pretty good little piece and very, very affordable. So I wanted to throw an option in here for someone who may be looking for a fruity rose on a budget. This little guy kind of reminds me of the Molinard Violette, which I discussed in one of my previous videos. And there is a fruitiness and an iris to it in terms of it being a fruity floral in an elevated type of way. This is another one of those scents that creates a feeling of wetness almost, or dampness, in a pleasant kind of way, don't take me wrong. But some perfumes we really feel they're dry, they're evoking a sensation of dryness. This is the opposite of that. There's dewiness to this guy. Eternity Intense was released in 2016, so by no means a new fragrance. It will satisfy a craving of those of you who enjoy an interesting, fruity, aquatic approach to a vanillic rose. So a little bit unusual, which I do appreciate, especially in a line like Eternity, which is very, very mass market. I do appreciate the thought behind it because it's a bit unexpected. This is a very likable scent that I think will fit a lot of criteria and ticks a lot of boxes of a lot of people. I think very likable, easy to wear, and very safe. Although the pyramid presented by the manufacturer does not boast of any fruit really apart from bergamot, from my personal impression, although it's not listed on the pyramid, I feel like there's fruitiness to it. There's a significant amount of fruit. When I looked up the pyramid, I was surprised. I did not think that the pyramid was quite reflective, was quite descriptive or reflective in a way that I would like for it to be, of the scent that you're actually getting in the bottle. It's a little bit misleading. So one of the instances where maybe listening to reviews is a safer bet and more useful than reading the ingredient list or the scent pyramid. There is a slightly warm iris there that definitely complements the rose, which to me, the sweet fruity rose is the star here. It's supported by vanillic woods. I would call iris a support note here as well. To me, although powdery is something that I've heard this scent described as a lot, to me this is not particularly powdery, because any scent really, again, with a rose and an iris combo is going to have this powdery flair. Here it's quite minimal. If you don't like powder, you still may enjoy the Eternity Intense. For me, this scent really fits the early spring / early fall. Both sillage and wear time are fine. It's quite moderate. I would put it in the moderate category. It wears well. It's not a super stinker. It's not something that's going to fill the room, which I appreciate. I actually don't like those scents. I find them a little bit overpowering and pushy, and I don't necessarily want to be pushy in that way when I'm around others. But this little guy stands its own and creates quite a pleasant, smiling, ingenue sort of situation. There is a softness to the scent, almost like a marshmallow squishiness. The fruit that's in here is kind of hard to pinpoint. At first, I was quite set on it being sort of a bubble gum, apple, red currant situation. But then after sitting on it and digging up my memories of Champs-Élysées, I feel that probably more of a honeydew melon sort of situation. So if I was to try and pinpoint the smell of the fruit that we're talking about, it is something like a melon of some sort, but not a watermelon. I mostly wear this in early spring days. This, because of the fruitiness, it does come across quite hopeful, quite bright. Overall, a really solid budget buy. I was stunned when I discovered that this is part of the Eternity line. It's to my liking though. So big approval brownie points from me, especially for the price. Can't beat it. Who might wear that sort of a perfume? I would say this is pretty universal. Again, gives you a flair of youth and hope and expectation of sunny days ahead. So what's not to like? If you don't like fruity florals, you won't like it. If you don't like that dewiness, you won't like it. And if you're expecting a powdery makeup sort of scent, you won't like it either. I think otherwise, pretty safe, giftable option in my opinion. Next, we're moving into a niche pick and a heavy hitter at that. This is Une Rose, but by Frederic Malle. I have obtained a whole bunch of minis and used up maybe 6 or 7 of them just to get an idea of whether this is something that I actually want to add to my own personal rose corner of my fragrance wardrobe. So just want to put it out there because I'm not convinced that this is a very wearable scent. However, it does not take away from the fact that it's a stunning juice. If you are a rose lover, and if you want that purity of rose, you want the very classic rose genre, Une Rose could be definitely what you're looking for. It was released in 2003, and the nose, I believe, is Edouard Fleché. He is not a perfumer I am super familiar with, but I am pretty curious to find out more about him and his creations, because this is quite exceptional and not for the faint of heart. I would not recommend this scent as your very first beginner rose. I think you will probably find it pretty offensive if that's what you want. If you want an easy rose, that is not one of them. Obviously, this is a very subjective opinion, but knowing how I approach fragrances and what I have, this is not the easiest piece to pull off. It's a strong, powerful scent. It's really long lasting. It's dense. The texture of it is touchable warm wood. And that's how I would identify if you were to look for a way to describe the texture. That's what it would be for me. For me, this is a very confident fall and winter pick. Again, I think it's a piece of perfume history. It is that special. It is that interesting. It creates a universe, its own little world. Whether you want to be part of that world or not remains to be seen when you try it, which leads me to the statement of the fact that it's not an easy giftable option, not just because of the prohibitive pricing, it's rather expensive, but also because of the fact that the scent is not going to be universally loved. Apart from a fairly dark rose, there is a big dose of red wine in here. And what I'm talking about is that bitter, old, oaky, concentrated red wine that so many people find very, very appealing and pleasant in terms of consumption. It's rich, it's luxurious, it's old money. There is a soapy aspect to it as there is with most rose scents, because we associate rose with soaps because the scent has been used in soaps for so many years, decades, hundreds of years probably. It's fairly linear. It does not have a lot of room for storytelling or mutation in any way. It is what it is. You apply it and it stays pretty solid for many, many hours, over 8 hours for sure. At the very bottom of the scent, not mentioned in the scent pyramid, just my personal observation, there is something a little nefarious, a little dirty secret, and to me it smells like this fragrance contains civet in a very small amount at the base. The manufacturer does not list civet notes, but from my nose, that's what I can most associate the sensation with. If you tolerate no funkiness in a scent, this one might create an unpleasant sensation for you because of that slight civet-like sensation. Unfortunately for me, this specific scent was a bit of a scrubber. It did appear to weighty, almost like olfactory shackles, because there's no development in the scent. It pretty well stays as it is as when it's applied, which might be a big plus for some people. It does tend to weigh on you with time because of the projection, because of the sturdiness of the scent. It's a monolith. I did find it difficult to tolerate, although I fully realize that this is a masterpiece, but the quality is off the charts and it's very interesting. It does not tell me a story. I find it hard to wear for more than maybe a couple of hours. And for me, that price tag should not be a scrubber. With regards to the powderiness of that scent, we are talking about like a slightly musty attic situation. So I'm struggling pinpointing my feelings of this on this particular scent. It's not one I want to own at all. I don't think it's good for me. I don't think it's the right fit for me. I think it's a little too monolith for me. Almost like in Space Odyssey 2021, that slab of black, what looks like black marble, the black hole that floats in space in the middle of nowhere with no sound. That in very hard wood is what this perfume reminds me of. I have a hard time explaining it because I never want to really make its value sound diminished, because it's actually very beautiful, very interesting. Not for me, and I find that you need to try before you buy anything at that price point. Again, I would recommend to try it before you buy anyway, but this is not an easy gift. This is not a scent that you can just pick up for someone special, because they need to love it. Otherwise, this will be a scrubber for them as well. Buy at your own risk is all I have to say about this guy. Fabulous piece of art, fragrance art, but not so much wearable. Yet another scent that I've been testing out is Aqua di Parma Rosa Nobile, Noble Rose. And I'm still trying to figure out whether it's something that I want to purchase for myself. The previous one is a no-go. This one is a maybe right now. I finished probably about 6 or 7 sample sizes of this guy, so I'm confident about my thoughts on it, my feelings about it. I know what this scent does at this point. Rosa Nobile is composed by François Demachy, whose work I really do tend to respect and enjoy. And it is a more lightweight, lighthearted, for me, very French approach, although Aqua di Parma is, as far as I know, not a French fragrance house, but it's a very French approach to rose for me. It first released in 2014 and has been pretty successful, a pretty successful seller for the line. The scent opens with bright mandarin and bergamot. There is a slight peppering to it, which I find is really the soul of the fragrance, and the essence of the rose is really brought out by a small amount of pepperiness. The rose in Rosa Nobile is hugely accented by peony, which is probably why I find this scent joyful. For me, peony is always a lightweight, joyful, beautiful, happy addition to any scent pyramid. And here we have almost equal parts rose and peony, creating a rosy sensation, more of a color than the actual flower. There is a fresh dewiness to it, very springtime for me, that is delivered by the lily of the valley, the muguet. There is a crystal-like quality to the scent. Generally, lily of the valley often delivers exactly that. And the base is really a classic cedar musk combination. Again, very clean, very crisp, not making waves in any way. Despite the fact that this is a very lightweight, cheerful spring and summer offering, it does tend to stay pretty well. Probably moderate on the lighter, erring on the lighter side of moderate, both projection and wear time. This is an uncomplicated, cheerful approach to a fresh rose. The petals are young and easily bruised. They are not a velvety, delicious concoction that we find in some of the other scents that I've spoken about. This is very, very fresh. Spring roses, maybe tea roses are in there as well in the mix. If you want a rosy, clean slate, just to give your nose a break from all the sophisticated, complicated, and thought-provoking scents that you have, this is a very nice palette cleanser. Just because it is so likable and easy to pull off. I remember when I was younger, there were Calme soaps that were on sale, and we had lots of commercials advertising Calme rosy soaps that had a very, very similar scent, and the smelling Rose Nobile immediately took me to my childhood, where in Eastern Europe, just shortly after Soviet Union collapsed, you know, Calme soap and a variety of instant coffees were just the epitome of luxury and were advertised on TV as that thing that you want to have. In between of the episodes of a soap that I still somehow remember the name of, which is Santa Barbara, I believe an American show. So Rosa Nobile is an innocent pink, lightweight, but decently long-lasting scent that is difficult to hate. If I could draw a parallel to an all-time American classic, Tea Rose by Perfumers Workshop comes to mind. This scent could also be in this particular video, but we're going to limit it somewhere. I have a few other rose scents that I'm obsessed with that we'll return to maybe in another iteration of this very video. But the tea rose scent, that is something that I can definitely see echoed in Rosa Nobile. Needless to say, because of the ease of use and the universality of this particular juice, I'm kind of tempted by it. I'm kind of tempted to get a small bottle and really dive into wearing it on the daily. This guy is most likely going to last through all of the seasons for you. If you just want like a single, simple shower and go fragrance situation, you'll find what you're looking for here. I have many more rose scents that I wanted to mention, but you got to draw the line somewhere, and here's where I'm drawing that one. I will return to the topic, and we will talk more about rose scents in the future. Meanwhile, have you tried the ones I've spoken about today? If so, what were your feelings about them? Also, what are your favorite rose scents and why? Please leave it down below. I love to have a conversation, discover new perfumes. I find it all very fascinating, so let's communicate. I'm really curious personally, so share with me and others. That is it for today. Have a good day. Good luck. Take care of yourself. If that little bit of perfume application during the day makes you a little bit happier and gives you a little smile, take it and do it. We really need a good cheer up. Rose scents for me definitely can do that. See you guys later. Bye bye.